Hello and welcome to this very first video of a series in which I'm going to be talking about how to play Stellaris for those console players that do not have a firm grasp on the mechanics of Stellaris Console Edition. And with that, let's get right into it. As far as settings go, I'll leave that to you. But when you set up a new game, especially when it's your first, second, or third attempt, I recommend that you pick the United Nations of Earth, and that is basically because they get the job done. You know, they are wasteful, as you can see in the trade overview, but we'll live with that. You can also make an empire of your own. I would not recommend it until you've had a few wins under your belt. Let's go set up our galaxy size. Now for this video, a medium galaxy size would be more than enough. There's going to be 7 AI empires, which is the max. I will not have advanced AI or max fallen empires on. You know what, in fact, let's do have an fallen empire on. Habitable worlds is just normal rate. I'm going to set the AI aggressives to low because any gamer that is new to Stellaris Console Edition will probably want to play it a bit on the easy mode, so let's just go with that. Iron Man mode on. This means you can unlock achievements or trophies. So let's get right into it. Having said that, I'm recording this on my PlayStation 4 because I have the extra content here, and it has more capabilities in regards to editing videos, but aside from the fact that some icons may look different in regards to the buttons you have to push, everything is the same when you compare it to the Xbox One version. So let's get right into it. The very first thing that you will want to do is take a look at what do you have in your own home star system. Well, seeing as I'm playing United Nations of Earth, it would be rather obvious that I have our own solar system, the Sol system, with the already known planets such as Saturn, Jupiter, etc. Now, as you can see, if you switch to the galaxy map, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 systems within my borders at this time, which means that I'll have enough for my science ship to research. So let's go ahead and do that. However, we will begin here. So you can use your science ship to survey straight away, which is good because the game hasn't started yet. As you can see, it is still paused. Why is this relevant? First you explore your own solar system, and then you press square or X on Xbox to chain a command right there with it. Now it looks like it's going straight away into the Alpha Centauri system, but this is not true. It will only go there as soon as it is finished Sol. So you can chain multiple commands as much as you want to, really. I will recommend no more than 4 in a row because, you know, if you find something special, you need to reset the whole thing. So you'll get there eventually. Having said that, I have a construction ship. It can't build anything yet because the science ship has to do its work. So let's leave that be. I already have 200 minerals, as you can see in the top left corner. So I need to go and do something with that. I have very low energy income. There's going to be an issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set clear sprawling sums. And I'll have a field with extra electricity credits, energy credits available. Let's just, there we go. I like a neat and clean outliner. So you pick your techs before you set the game to play, and these are very good starting techs to begin with. A standard research speed that's plus 5% on physics is very good, but the solar panel network is definitely worthwhile in the beginning. Then again, fusion power, which grants you a new type of reactor, new energy research, and stronger ships, is very useful as well. So it's actually a really hard choice. If I actually have to pick one, solar panel is nice, but it's not the best of these. Fusion power is nice, but it is already 480, and research is low. So what I tend to do in the beginning is just pick research that goes you know, it ups your research speed, so we'll go with that. Terraforming is nice, but we don't need it right now. And orbital hydroponic farms, same story. So we'll just stick with the biodiversity studies. Here we can choose between nanocomposite armor, which is nice, good to ships. There's the engineering facility, which increases research. And there's geothermal fracking, which increases mining network. Now, there's something very important here, because labs require you to build a science lab, which can be quite expensive in early game, at least as early as this. So what I do here is I've decided to go with mining network 2 to up my income so I can build more and faster. Now, this is anything you do as soon as you enter a game. This is the basic setup. The starting text may differ, but you make your own choice in that. I personally feel that increasing research speed is the most important, or increasing income via mining network 2 or power plant 2 or something like that. Having said that, there's more to this game before you start than just this. So, few things that you want to check out, or at least I recommend you check out, is your current energy credits and what you have per month. Same with minerals, same with food, influence, and unity. But unity is always +2, so you can just skip that for the time being. It won't become relevant until we've actually expanded our empire. There's some research, 766. We can have 3 sector worlds. We have 3 capacity field out of 14, and we have 0 strategic resources. This is just an overview, nothing else. On the right hand side, there's the outliner. The outliner shows you your planets, your fleets, military fleets. It also shows civilian ships such as construction ships or science ships, so you can interact with them easily and you do not need to look for them all over the map. There's rally points, which I have already hidden away because they are not relevant at this time. And there's outliner options. I'll leave that to you for yourself. It basically shows you whether or not, gives you the option to whether or not show the outliner at all times. On the lower hand side, at the bottom of the screen, notifications will pop up. Only notifications. You have the timer on the left hand side in the corner, but you can only interact with it by using the triangle or the Y button. On the left hand side there's a buttload of icons, and there's like a lot of it. So let's just go through it one by one and give you a bearing on how the UI actually works. So there's 10, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 buttons. Federation is never relevant in the beginning, so let's just leave it until you actually get a federation. War is going to be relevant, but if you start a war like straight off after you find someone, that might not be the best idea, but I'll get back to that. So let's just stick with the first 8 buttons. First off, there's your own government and empire. You can see what your ethics are, your ruler traits, so it might be useful to build a lot of star bases when you have a ruler that allows you to build them with 15% cost reduction, for example. You can see your budget, so your income and your expenses. And you can see demographics. This is especially useful if you want to create vessels. To be honest, I don't use this screen a lot. The second screen is contacts, and this is a very important one because as you come into contact with other empires, you can contact them either via one of their icons on the map or via the contacts menu. And the contacts menu is more useful because if you have the DLC on and you find one of the enclaves, you can contact them to buy the boost that they offer for Unity or for Science, or you can trade materials with them if you found a trade enclave. The third icon represents the situation log and the victory conditions. Basically, it shows you what you can do or what you have to do, such as a mandate, as I have a 4-year recurring democratic election. And getting the mandate ensures the chance that he or she will be re-elected, but it also gains me influence, which is obviously very useful. In the victory window, we can see the types of victory and how far ahead of the rest you are, or how long it will take before you get there. It won't show you a timer, it will show you progress bar in percentages. Right now, this is not relevant, just leave it be. You have the technology screen. You've probably all seen this screen before. You can go to an overview of what you have already researched. This might be handy at some points, but I may have used it only like 2 or 3 times in 4 years. So, to be honest, There's the strategic resource screen. At some point you're gonna have strategic resources. And you can see here if and how many of any resource you have. And it is basically the exact same screen as that you have all the way up there. It shows you the same thing. If we look at cosmography, things are starting to get a bit difficult. So let's do that one at a time. This screen will show you any and all planets you've colonized. It'll show you their output, their governor, pops, and the modules are for the starbase that you have in orbit, if you decide to build one. Now the sectors are something else. Basically, at some point you're going to have too many planets. In this case, I would be able to control 3 core planets, 3 different systems planets. But say I gain a 4th system inhabited, I would have too much, and it would cut in on my income for energy credits and minerals. That is something that we need to avoid, because that'll get you wrecked. So you put planets that you don't want to currently use, farm, or build on, you put them in sectors, and you can do that via this screen. And when you press square, actually I can't pick anyone right now because I only have 1 planet, but it gives you a plus in green, and you click it and you can select surrounding systems. It's that easy. It'll show you a lot of different information about that, but you can drain your sectors for resources using influence in case you are low in resources yourself. Now, there's the expansion planner, and this is a very nifty tool. Although I have to be honest, I barely use it myself. Main reason for this is, well, I try to pick planets that have strategic value, like military strategic, or resource strategic value. This will just show you any and all worlds with a certain habitability. You can pick, is it colonizable, yes or no, etc. But it only shows you the worlds that you have surveyed. So if you have multiple worlds in your territory that you have not surveyed yet, it will not show any of the worlds in there, even though you can see from the general map that there's a habitable planet in there. And that's why I tend to avoid the expansion planner. There's society, and society, this is probably the best addition that they could have made in the entire history of Stellaris. Like everything. There were already perks such as these, where you adopt a policy tree and you can pick different perks within them, and that was it. And it gives you new powers, new options. You can pick supremacy, for example, and when you adopt it, without even actually having a perk, just unlocking it gives you 20% border range. So your borders will grow quite nicely. Harmony will give you 10% extra happiness. But if you complete Discovery, for example, which adds another bonus, you get plus 10% research speed, which is quite nice. Now, what's most important here is that there's Ascension perks. These are found in the Utopia DLC. Utopia DLC is the best DLC pack currently out there for Stellaris. I recommend you get it. It's very much worth your money. It adds a lot of mechanics which are really useful, and it allows you to build, amongst other things, mega structures. which will be talked about later on in the series. There's a lot of different perks. As you can see, I can pick none of them because we've only just started. But you can get plus 10% research speed, plus 10% unity output, but I can also go through the flesh suite into synthetic evolution and become a robot species. You can combine multiple perks and each grants you more story options, tech options, and well, events basically. Very much worth it. On the second hand of the traditions screen, there's the policy screen, and this is quite important. The policy screen shows you what your current settings are. So, for example, you have 200 food at some point. That is your basic. That is the standard cap for food, 200. But you may have 8 planets, for example, and you notice that it's starting to get tricky to keep your food on a positive level. At some point you may have plus 25, and at some point you may have minus 10. And plus 25 doesn't get you anything if you're capped, but minus 10 does get you into problems when you have only 200. So what do? You go here. This is the stockpiling example. You can pick balanced, where your capacity is 1000, or large is 5000. Stuff like this will become relevant when you notice that you can't do certain things that you want to do, such as in this case it says unrestricted wars, but if you only have defensive wars you can't just attack anyone, and you know that you have to change your war policy. There's the standard greeting, so to say, when you encounter an empire, and you can either have peaceful or aggressive. Let's get back to that. I can't resettle my pops now, but if you do want to, you can just allow it. There's just one thing. Once you change a policy, you can't change it again for 10 years. You're stuck with it for a while. That's something to think about. At the end, there's the edict list. And in the beginning, I would not recommend using this. Unless you want to play tall, and only tall, then it might be worth it. But for now, let's just leave this be. You can gain different edicts all throughout the game, through events, through technologies, and each has their own use to it. So let's just arrive at that later. Then there's people. You can see your leaders, you can see your governors, scientists, admirals, and generals, and I think this is pretty self-explanatory. You can manage them from here. There's factions. As you develop throughout your game, you go through events, you meet new people and new empires, and these all have an effect on your people. You may have migration treaties, research treaties, you may have wars with others. Anything that happens influences your people. And you can use that to gain extra influence, or to change your ethics, or to try and get a certain leader into power that has a perk that you might need. You can use that here, but seeing as there's not much to spend on anything, we'll get back to this later. Then there's the species screen, and this species screen is especially useful if you are a slave master, or if you want equal rights, or you want to mess with rights altogether. You will find all species here, especially if you show galaxy species. Obviously I have not encountered anyone, so I can only see human. But at some point there's going to be other species, and you can change that. And this screen is also very useful if you want to mess with that genetics. That's something to come back to, but it basically, when you click the screen, it will say that you have gene points remaining. You can modify the template, and you can just go through it from there. It's pretty self-explanatory once you see it. It's really very easy. But aside from that, you won't use this screen. It looks like a lot of information, but you will not ever be using all of it in rapid succession. So take a deep breath, you'll be fine. The last thing we're going to talk about is the ship designer. And the ship designer is something special. What you can do here is design the ships, not by looks, but by what goes in them. And to give you an idea, I'll go and pick a Corvette. I have Hyperdrive 1, very basic stuff, obviously. But once you design, research more designs and more ship types, you can do a lot of other stuff. So, for example, at some point you're gonna have battleships. That's tier 4 ships, and you can use a lot of different ship parts for that. So you can have a spinal mount bow, which adds a giant ass cannon to your battleship. You could have a hangar bay as the second component, and for the third component you could have an artillery bow, or an artillery section. But you can mash it up in any order with all the different parts, and these will unlock more and more as you research more ships and more technologies. So as you can see right now, we actually have a couple of free slots. So what this means is we're gonna be adding fission reactors. I have no currently suitable components for this slot, so let's just pass that up. And we can go ahead and save that. Let's override. Now what that means is I can already upgrade my fleet. But I'm not going to do that, and there's a very good reason. It costs 56, I only have 160. It'll take ages to get those back. And I still want to build mines first. So that's what we're going to do. Before we do that, however, I want to thank you for watching this very first video. I hope you found this useful. If you do, please like it. If you didn't, dislike it. Leave a comment if you want. And any questions, I will try and answer if you have them. I want to thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.